What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So, shout out to the brother Town Biz for talking about Bill Maher, man. He was talking about how a lot of people got smoked right now for Will Smith, a guy who obviously made a terrible mistake. But when you compare that to his 30 years of exemplary behavior, great work ethic, his tremendous rise in Hollywood, um, and I call it Hollywood not to denigrate him, but the industry. I think it is a bit overkill what we saw last week, and I think that's why the uh, Academy Awards over exaggerated their uh, punishment because of the over exaggeration as far as the reaction to what he did. Now, I don't want to talk about Bill Maher from that angle, from how he's got this crusade now, as far as like against woke culture and cancel culture and all that, right? Because I think that's personal with him. Um, there's some things about Bill Maher that I don't like. Um, Now let me say this: I've been watching Bill Maher since the '90s, since he used to be on ABC on Politically Incorrect, and I remember things come on. What was it? Friday nights or something. Um, then afterwards, after he lost that show because of a bad joke he made about 9/11, he then went on to HBO where he ironically, if memory serves me correctly, he replaced Chris Rock, who had the Chris Rock show from something like 1997 to 2002 on there. And then Real Time with Bill Maher has been on there, I think, since something like 2002. So I've watched Bill Maher for quite some time. And I only just recently stopped watching the show. And it wasn't because of some boycott or anything like that. I just stopped watching this show. I think the most I used to watch his show was probably the Bush years when Bush, the second Bush was president, because at that time I was still evolving as a person. That's when I still saw the Democratic Party as our allies, and I still saw it as the Democrats were the good guys, Republicans were the bad guys. When in reality, I think all of them are bad guys, now. But Bill Maher is an interesting person. He's a very interesting person. A lot of people, I think in our community, we look at him as one like a guy that we can trust because he appears to be a liberal. Um, he wars against the GOP, and because of the fact that he seems, that he has his attraction to black women, we think he's the type of guy that we can, invite to the cookout. When in reality, I think there's a lot more to him than that. There's other layers that we wouldn't like. And number one is, even though I do believe on most issues he's left of center, I don't think he's technically a liberal. I think that's mislabeling him. Um, just from listening to him over the years. Uh, just because you are a liberal, well, first of all, before I go to that point, I remember him referring to himself as a libertarian, right? And libertarians are very big on civil liberties. They're very big on personal rights. Um, they're very, very big on that. You know, personal freedoms, especially from government invasion, government infractions, things of that nature, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're all liberals. There are many former Republicans who have turned libertarians. Now, libertarians generally are a little bit more left of center than today's Republican Party. But is that really saying much when today's Republican Party is not that far out of the reach of the KKK and shit. But Bill Maher, to me, comes across as one of these so-called liberals who still have certain viewpoints that are white supremacy in nature, and many of them do, if not most of them, still have viewpoints that is in is it, there are certain viewpoints that are ingrained in them where they still feel as if though they are better than other people. They're better than other groups. Um, I think it's something that's just ingrained. They try to hide it, but it will come out. Okay. What I say goes, and if you listen to Bill Maher, he's very entitled. I don't know if anybody knows this, but he has it in his contract that before, I think it's something like 20 minutes before every show, he is not to be disturbed because he spends that time meditating, uh, smoking marijuana, and at times masturbating. And I'm not joking about the third one. That's a person that's very, very pleasure seeking, I guess, right? The thing about black women and him is this: when you look at the type of black women that he dates, I'm not. He's not dating power play women. You know, so he's not dating CEOs of corporations or high-ranking Hollywood, insiders or even other high-ranking celebrities. This is a guy that's dating like dots, like Superhead, Kareen Steffens, or porn stars, or fucking with porn stars, like Tiana Trump, who's biracial. I saw her doing an interview a couple of months ago where she said she slept with Bill Maher, and she said that he was very, very condescending, extremely condescending, like talking to her like she's stupid, like she's a dumb idiot. And when I hear that, it makes perfect sense. Oh, he'll fuck you. Yeah, he'll use you to get a nut off. But other than that, you're useless to him because he looks down on you. He doesn't expect much of you. Now, see a white woman, he'll have sex with her, but he'll look at her as being more on his level. Uh, but a black woman that is on his level intellectually, he may lose interest because that's not what he wants, or at least someone he perceives to be on his level. But he's always come across to me as pompous, arrogant, and narcissistic. You know, these are things that uh, I've always felt about him. And I also believe that this whole thing with the woke culture and protecting the comedians' freedom of speech, I think all this shit really looms from the house nigga joke that he told. And he didn't like the fact that he was chastised so much for it. He didn't like that Ice Cube went on his program and told you, if you had said that when I was here, I'd have punched you in your fucking face. He didn't like that. He didn't like that. And I think since then, he has this private war when he says cancel culture. I think he's talking about I think he's talking about not just quote unquote generations. Uh, he's not just talking about the millennium generation or Generation Xers, whatever the fuck he's talking about. He's also talking about he's talking about us. He's talking about us because I think he kind of realizes that his fan base has shifted somewhat since then. He's lost probably some black support, and he's picked up some. You know, he's probably picked up some disgruntled Uh, you know, he probably picked up some people who feel disgruntled about society, feel like that they're no longer the shit. You know what I'm saying? And he's picked up some of them. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm a person that I like almost all comedy. Very little offends me, but I'm me. What I find funny, someone else may not find funny. Um, but that's just me. I believe that in this country, we do have a right to say what we want. I believe in that. We have a right to say what we want. I don't believe in censorship, but I do believe that in this country, you got to realize that when you say certain things, there are penalties for it. There are repercussions at times. You can't just say whatever the fuck you want to say and there not be any repercussions. If that's the case, you have people screaming fire all the time in movie theaters and get away with it. I was just being funny. Okay, yeah, you were being funny, but your ass gonna fucking go to jail too. You know, so it is what it is. Tell me what you guys think.